Greetings YouTube, and welcome to The Rabbit Hole. Many times, the food we buy in grocery stores or order in restaurants is not what we think it is. Food is often cut with other ingredients or chemicals to make it cheaper, but it is our health that pays the price. In other cases, we are buying food that is completely different from the food we think we are purchasing. Food manufacturers are able to legally fool the unwitting consumer into spending top dollar through clever advertising and labeling. Here's a list of the top 10 fraudulent foods. Number 10. Sushi. Almost all of the fish served at sushi restaurants in the United States is something other than it is labeled. Larry Olmsted, in his book Real Food, Fake Food, writes that the white tuna in sushi is usually a different fish altogether. It's likely to be the much cheaper fish, escolar, which is commonly referred to as the ex-lax fish because of its diuretic effect. Restaurants like Masa or Nobu in New York are rare exceptions in the sale of this fraudulent food. Number 9. Olive oil. The olive oil industry makes $16 billion a year. However, up to 90% of the olive oil sold in supermarkets is cut with any number of cheap ingredients such as omega-6 vegetable oil, sunflower oil, or peanut oil, all of which are hazardous to health, especially when heated. Olmsted weighs in again, saying, Italy is the world's largest exporter of olive oil, but they are also the world's largest importer of olive oil. Just because a label says bottled in Italy, it doesn't guarantee that what you're purchasing is a genuine Italian olive oil. Number 8. Parmesan Cheese. Another Italian favorite is Parmesan cheese, which comes from Parma, Italy. But unlike the Parmigiano Reggiano from Parma, which is made under the strictest regulations to ensure purity, the Parmesan cheese in the United States can be made from virtually anything. Many US Parmesan cheeses are made using more than 20% plant fiber cellulose. However, these monster cheeses, pardon the pun, are approved by the FDA and legally allowed to be called Parmesan cheese. Number 7. Coffee. Coffee is a staple in many Americans' daily morning routine, and thus the truth about this adulterated food is one of the hardest to swallow.
This is, a damn fine cup of coffee.
The Grocery Manufacturers Association says that ground coffee may be cut with leaves, twigs, roasted corn, ground roasted barley, and roasted ground parchment, while instant coffee may contain chicory, cereals, caramel, starch, malt, and figs.
Gene, this coffee is delicious, do you know that?
Stick to whole bean coffee to ensure purity and freshness. Number 6. Fruit juice. The first ingredient listed on most conventional fruit juices is apple juice. Manufacturers don't need to list how much of each ingredient is in a product, and thus apple juice is used to dilute the drink because it's so cheap. Furthermore, most apple juice is actually Chinese apple juice concentrate, which contains pesticides and other chemicals which are harmful to our health. Number 5. Shrimp. Shrimp has become a common fast food item at seafood chains, but its affordability is thanks to the creation of fish farms in Southeast Asia. These farms often use antibiotics, which are known to be carcinogenic. The farms also devastate the environment by destroying the mangroves, which protect the land from tsunamis. Furthermore, the fish farms of Southeast Asia are well known to use slave labor. Number 4. Red snapper. Red snapper is an exclusively wild-caught fish and thus carries a high price tag. That being said, the red snapper served in restaurants is almost never actually red snapper. Instead, it is usually a much cheaper Southeast Asian farmed fish like tilapia. Olmsted writes, "This is something that happens with red snapper more than 9 out of 10 times. You could go for a week and order red snapper every day, and there's a good chance you're never going to get it." Number 3. Kobe beef. Don't be fooled. There are only 8 restaurants in the US which actually sell Japanese Kobe beef. Similar to the US definition of Parmesan cheese, the label Kobe beef gets slapped onto a variety of meat, such as Wagyu beef, which is much cheaper than Kobe. The 212 Steakhouse restaurant in Manhattan is one of the few restaurants to sell authentic Kobe beef. Number 2. Lobster. Much like the current state of fast food shrimp, lobster is no longer a delicacy and can be purchased fairly cheaply at chains like Red Lobster and Long John Silver's. The only problem is, it's not actually lobster. Most times, these eateries are serving langostino.
Real langostino lobster for just $2.99.
Red Lobster has defended their product by claiming that langostino is a variety of lobster, while in reality, langostino refers to a species of shrimp or crab.
This is a langostino, and it looks nothing like a lobster. It's more closely related to the hermit crab and costs about half as much as lobster does per pound.
Langostino is not to be confused with langoustines, which is in fact lobster and common in European dishes. And number 1, honey. If you think honey comes from bees, think again. Commercial honey is often cut with high fructose corn syrup and antibiotics. The FDA has ruled that as long as a product contains pollen, it can be considered honey. However, the FDA only tests about 5% of the honey imported into the United States. Chinese honey, which has illegally infiltrated US markets, is known to be cut with chemicals and is high in heavy metals. In one study conducted by Vaughn Bryant, one of the country's top experts in the study of pollen, 76% of the honey bought in grocery stores contained no pollen whatsoever. 100% of the honey bought in drugstores also could not be classified as honey. We live in a world where industry sees the masses as merely dumb, ill-informed consumers. Big business has no regard for integrity or our health. That is why it is in our best interest to arm ourselves with knowledge so we can make intelligent, healthy, and sustainable choices. I recommend you read Larry Olmsted's book, Real Food, Fake Food, Why You Don't Know What You're Eating and What You Can Do About It. Try to buy food from local, reliable farmers rather than big chains. Learn about new technology like infrared spectrometry, which can identify a species of fish simply by scanning the animal with a device that attaches to your phone. The technology works using the same method Shazam uses to identify music. Stick to uncontaminated food like wild fish, which come from a fresh source like Alaska. Before you go out to eat, research the restaurant so you know exactly what you are being served. If the price seems too good to be true, it probably is. It is the responsibility of the individual to become informed, enlightened, and free through the power of knowledge within the confines of oppression. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep digging.